The Roman Empire, once a mighty power stretching across Europe, crumbled in the 5th century AD. This marked the beginning of the medieval period, a time of immense change and transformation across the continent. Gone were the days of Roman law, centralized governance and relative stability. In their place rose a fragmented world of competing kingdoms, new religious powers, and a social order built on land and loyalty. This period, often misunderstood as the Dark Ages, was anything but. It was an era of vibrant cultures, intellectual ferment, and the foundations of the modern European world. Imagine a map of Europe redrawn. Where once stood the Roman Empire, now existed a patchwork of smaller kingdoms, each vying for power and influence. Germanic tribes, including the Franks, Goths, and Vandals, established their own domains on the ruins of Roman provinces. In the east, the Byzantine Empire, the surviving eastern half of the Roman Empire, continued to thrive, preserving Roman traditions and becoming a center of art, learning, and commerce in its own right. This fracturing of power created a void that was filled by new structures, both political and social. Feudalism, a system of mutual obligation and landholding, emerged as a way to organize society and provide stability in an uncertain world. Simultaneously, the Church, with its growing authority and influence, provided not only spiritual guidance but also played an increasingly important role in political and social life. This complex interplay of factors set the stage for the next several centuries of European history. The early Middle Ages was a time of adaptation and innovation. From the ashes of the Roman Empire rose new kingdoms, new social orders, and new ways of life that would shape the destiny of Europe for centuries to come. The early Middle Ages were a period of political fragmentation and the rise of new kingdoms. The fall of Rome left a power vacuum in Western Europe, which was quickly filled by migrating Germanic tribes. These tribes, including the Visigoths in Spain, the Ostrogoths in Italy, the Vandals in North Africa, and the Franks in Gaul, established their own kingdoms, often adopting Roman customs and institutions. The Franks, under the leadership of Clovis I, emerged as a dominant power in Western Europe. Clovis converted to Christianity in 496 AD, a pivotal event that aligned the Franks with the powerful Catholic Church and gave them a significant advantage over their rivals. This alliance would have a profound impact on the future of both the Frankish kingdom and the Church itself. Another significant development in the early Middle Ages was the rise of Islam. Emerging from the Arabian Peninsula in the 7th century, Islam spread rapidly, conquering vast territories in the Middle East, North Africa, and even parts of Europe. The Islamic conquest of Spain in 711 AD had a profound impact on the Iberian Peninsula, ushering in a period of Islamic rule that would last for centuries. The early Middle Ages were a time of great instability and upheaval, marked by frequent warfare, shifting alliances, and the constant threat of invasion. Yet amid this turmoil, new political entities emerged, laying the foundations for the kingdoms and empires that would dominate Europe in the centuries to come. Feudalism, a complex system of social and political organization, emerged in the early Middle Ages as a response to the lack of centralized authority. In essence, it was a hierarchical system based on landholding and mutual obligation. At the top of the pyramid was the king, who granted land, known as fiefs, to his most powerful nobles in exchange for their loyalty and military service. These nobles in turn could grant portions of their land to lesser nobles, creating a chain of obligation that extended down to the peasantry. The lords provided their vassals with protection and justice, while the vassals owed their lords military service, loyalty, and often a portion of their produce. This system, while seemingly rigid, was in practice quite flexible and often depended on personal relationships and local customs. Life under feudalism was harsh, particularly for those at the bottom of the social ladder. Peasants, who made up the vast majority of the population, were tied to the land and obligated to work for their lord. They had few rights and lived in poverty, often at the mercy of their lord's whims. However, feudalism did provide a degree of stability and order in a chaotic world. It also fostered a sense of community and interdependence, as lords and vassals were bound by oaths of loyalty and mutual obligation. The feudal system, while evolving over time, would remain a defining feature of medieval society for centuries. It shaped the political landscape, influenced warfare, and dictated the lives of millions of people. Understanding feudalism is essential to understanding the medieval world and its legacy. Section 4. The Church, Ascendant, Faith, Power and the Papacy in the High Middle Ages. As political power fragmented in the early Middle Ages, the Catholic Church emerged as a unifying force in Western Europe. The Church, with its hierarchical structure, vast landholdings and universal message of salvation, provided a sense of continuity and stability in a rapidly changing world. Monasteries became centers of learning and literacy, preserving ancient texts and promoting education. The papacy, based in Rome, gained increasing authority, claiming spiritual supremacy over all Christendom. The High Middle Ages saw the Church reach the zenith of its power and influence. Popes like Gregory VII and Innocent III asserted their authority over secular rulers, excommunicating kings and emperors who dared to challenge their decrees. The Church played a central role in the lives of medieval people from birth to death. It offered the promise of salvation, provided social welfare, and shaped the moral and ethical framework of society. The Church's influence extended far beyond the spiritual realm. It was a major patron of the arts, commissioning magnificent cathedrals, sculptures, and paintings. Monasteries were centers of agricultural innovation, developing new techniques that increased food production. The Church also established universities, which became centers of intellectual inquiry and scholarship. However, the Church's power and wealth also led to corruption and abuses. Simony, the buying and selling of church offices, became widespread. Indulgences, which offered forgiveness of sins in exchange for money, were sold to finance lavish building projects. These practices, along with other perceived abuses, would eventually lead to challenges to the Church's authority during the late Middle Ages. Section 5. A time of crusades, religious zeal and political ambition. The High Middle Ages were marked by a series of religious wars known as the Crusades. Fueled by a complex mix of religious zeal, political ambition and economic motives, the Crusades saw European armies march east to wrest control of the Holy Land from Muslim rule. The First Crusade, launched in 1095 in response to a plea for help from the Byzantine Emperor, captured Jerusalem in 1099, establishing a series of Crusader states in the Levant. The Crusades had a profound impact on both Europe and the Middle East. They exposed Europeans to new ideas, cultures, and trade goods, contributing to the intellectual and economic growth of the West. However, they also led to violence, bloodshed, and the massacre of Jewish and Muslim populations. The Crusades ultimately failed to achieve their primary objective of maintaining control of the Holy Land, but they left a lasting legacy of religious tension and cultural exchange. Beyond the battlefield, the Crusades had far-reaching consequences. They stimulated trade between East and West, as European merchants sought to profit from the demand for luxury goods from the Orient. The Crusades also led to the growth of Italian city-states like Venice and Genoa, which controlled much of the maritime trade between Europe and the East. The wealth generated by this trade would later fuel the Renaissance in Italy. The Crusades were a complex and multifaceted phenomenon, driven by a combination of religious fervor, political expediency, and economic self-interest. They left an indelible mark on the history of Europe and the Middle East, shaping the relationship between Christendom and Islam for centuries to come.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.